Okay, quick one here. National championship game is tomorrow night. The number one Florida Gators are playing the number one Houston Cougars. So this one should be a super exciting game. Yesterday, Florida beat Auburn, and then Houston beat Duke, who's got the number one player, Cooper Flagg. Duke was like highly favored, and they came back. 10 minutes left, Duke couldn't score a basket, and Houston just was like fighting, made some clutch threes, and eventually won the game. So for this national championship, what you need to know. The Gators are favored by 1. I personally think they've got the best player on the court, Walter Clayton Jr. He's a transfer. He's actually played last year here in New Rochelle at Iona College. I think he's the best. When you have the best player on the floor, you probably are going to win the game. I think he's poised. He makes clutch shots. He's smart. And just the Gators overall have good team chemistry. I think Houston is kind of running its course. If they had not, made a couple timely shots yesterday, they wouldn't be in this game today. So another cool storyline real quick is the head coach of the Florida Gators, Todd Golden. If he wins, he'd be the youngest head coach in NCAA history to win a national championship. And on the flip side, the head coach of the Houston Cougars, Kelvin Sampson, if he wins, would be the oldest head coach to win a national championship. So pretty cool dynamic there. Kelvin Sampson's very old school, like no nonsense, in your face, very proud of his players type of like old school NCAA basketball coach. While Todd Golden, very new school, kind of up with the times, is very fast paced offense. So it's a cool little dynamic there. Florida last won a national championship in 07. They won back-to-back in 06, 07. Joakim Noah was on that team. Their head coach, Billy Donovan, is now the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. So I was a big fan of that team. I still am. Billy Donovan is a New York guy, so I kind of like him a lot. Houston has never won a national championship. They last made it in 1984, but they did not win. So this would be their first national championship. Their alumni, Jim Nance, he calls all the Masters and does all the games on CBS. He's always at the games, so he's kind of like going crazy for them. One thing I did want to show you, I always try to find some collectibles of like teams or stories that I'm talking about. I found this little mini football here. So, like I said, I'm a diehard Florida Gators fan. So 1995, I had 2 cousins that went to University of Florida. Shout out Sean, shout out Tara. Tara knew a bunch of football players. She knew when they were practicing. So I had bought this ball at the bookstore, went down to the field, and literally got it signed by the whole team. Now, at the time, I thought this football was everything. I thought it was going to be worth tons of money. But I was more so just a kid, and I was happy to have all the autographs. Fast forward to today, I couldn't tell you any of the autographs on this football. I found Bob Stoops, who was the old head coach of Oklahoma, and I believe he won a national championship. So he must have been, a coordinator for the team, because I believe Steve Spurrier was the coach. I found 2 other guys. I found this guy, Reggie Davis, and then I found Tyrone Baker. So they also had like Javon Curse, who played in the NFL for a while. I couldn't find him on here. But the main guys like Danny Werfel, who was the quarterback of the team, he's probably on here. I don't see it. And then Brian Schottenheimer, I looked up the roster, who's now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So that would have been another good one. But like I said, at the time, I thought this football was the best. I really loved it. And the fact that I've held on to it for like almost 30 years is pretty incredible. But team signed football from the Florida Gators 1995 team. They won the SEC championship. They did lose to Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. But pretty cool souvenir nonetheless that I still have today. So back to the national championship real quick. The game is in San Antonio. So I've been to some NCAA championship games. I've been to the Final Fours. They're played in football stadiums. So personally, I think that the crowd doesn't make that big of a difference. You feel so far away from the court, and it's so far, like, as a fan to see. It's one thing that I was, like, super excited to go. I was like, this is going to be amazing. It's totally different. You're very far back. It doesn't feel real intimate, and the atmosphere is just kind of, like, a little bit of a dud. And I went to, like, Duke, UNC, so, like, really exciting games that still fell a little flat because the arena is so big. I think that's one thing that people talk about is like, should you play the NCAA college basketball championship in a smaller venue to get that same feel that you have throughout the season. A lot of these teams play in old kind of like coliseum or stadiums, and you're right on top of the players. If you watch a Duke game, players can like pretty much touch a guy while he's passing in the ball. It's like they like, Molly will put a photo in. But once you get to the Final Four, because of money, you know, the NCAA wants to kind of capitalize as much as they can. They play in these huge venues, which loses kind of like that luster a little bit. That being said, the game is in San Antonio, not too far from Houston, so they're going to have obviously more fans there than Florida, but I don't think that ultimately is going to be that much of a factor. I think Florida is the better team. I think they're more poised. Like I said, they've got the best player on the court, Walter Clayton Jr. Houston, if they kind of don't hit some timely shots, and Duke hit some yesterday, they're not in this position. So I think Florida's going to win. I'm going to say that because I'm a Gators fan. I think that their time is right now. They've got a good chemistry, and it should be an exciting game either way. Florida's favored by 1, and I don't know if I said this, but yeah, Florida won their last national championship in 2007. Houston's never won one, so ultimately it's going to be a good game. And like I said, because I'm a Gators fan, you know I have a jersey. So, shout out University of Florida. Go Gators. If you're watching, enjoy. If you're not, tell me what TV show you are watching instead, because I'm curious to know why you wouldn't be watching the March Madness Final Four championship. But enjoy the games. Thanks for watching. Peace.